Hello and welcome to the Slingshot channel, to the Mongolian episode. Yes, it's true. So many people asked me, since I obviously love compact bows, why not testing a Mongolian horse bow? And I said, well, let's give it a try. Why not? They certainly look beautiful. But I bought like the cheapest one that you can find. It's actually looking quite interesting. And as you see, it also has a fairly long draw. All the flexibility is in here. And also, it is detachable. Like you can actually very easily remove the string, like so. And then you also see that it's really a reflex bow. You know, you would think that it probably works this way, but it doesn't. It works this way. And the bow actually is made from fiberglass, so it looks like wood, but it isn't. And you could put it apart, and then you can see how it looks from the inside, and put it together anytime. They even give you a little bit of leather, so you can wrap it if you want to. But then, of course, it makes it harder to detach the bow. And actually, I'm going to do some things later that will make this obsolete. As you see, it loops over these ends here. And this really means that the bow can be drawn out very long. It doesn't have a very tough draw weight. I clocked it at about 22 pounds. But the Mongolian bows take the power from the length of the acceleration. You actually need very long arrows to shoot it. So here, for example, is a 32-inch arrow. And it shoots quite well. As you see, I can draw it out to the max. And then, yeah, not bad. Ha! Full hit. Now you might have noticed that I'm using a very typical 3-finger grip to draw out my bow, like so. But actually the Mongols didn't do it. They used a thumb ring. And I bought some of those. Those aren't very expensive, but none of them fit my fairly thick thumb. So I made myself one from plywood. What else? The plywood thumb ring. Let me show you its features. Okay, as you see, the ring actually has like a lip here, and what you do is you put it over your thumb, and actually it's not perfectly round, so that you can turn it a little bit, and then it locks when you turn it around like so. And now the ring is very solid and firmly, but it's not too tight. Looks funny, but actually it doesn't hinder the dexterity of my hand. Now here is how you use it. You just, instead of holding the string like so, what you do is you put your thumb underneath the arrow and go like so, and you could already feel that the ring locks on the string. And then you take your index finger and wrap it around your thumb, and then you draw out like so. And all you have to do if you want to shoot is you release your index finger. The rest is automatic. Very simple. Now this also has the advantage that the string is actually drawn back at a sharper angle. For short bows it's a lot more comfortable. So, like so. Let me show you again how it works. So I draw this out. Okay. So I draw this out, and if I want to shoot, I simply let go of my index finger. So even though this is a fairly cheap and weak bow, I like it because it's a lot of fun to shoot it. But of course the question is, can we enhance it? Can we build like an instant Legolas for it? This time the challenge would have to be different, because we would have to build like an instant Ghengis Khan instead. Since if I built one, then I would try to make it in a way that actually the Mongols could have made it. This means the challenge is no screws, nothing modern. It must use, of course, wood, but they had wood, and they obviously also had glue. Otherwise, you cannot make a compound bow without glue. And of course, we have to look at what kind of ammo we're shooting. And I've settled for shorter bolts so that it's a lighter weight and can still benefit from the long acceleration. Since I found in this book here, I found that they actually made kind of devices like this, arrow guides like this. And they also used it to shoot shorter arrows, because those had the advantage that the opponents couldn't send them back to you, since they were too short for their bows. That's quite smart. So, let me show you what I came up with. So, this is my instant Ghengis Khan. Let me show you its features. So, as you see, it looks a little different to the normal instant Legolas devices that I make, because this actually is just decorated. So I wanted it to look like a little bit like an antique thing. I also painted it dark brown for the purpose. It shoots the normal bolts for the Cobra R9, but because I don't think that the Mongols had access to coil springs, so I had to do a different clamp down feather. And what I've been using is, I've been using a wooden arrow, just because wooden arrows are flexible. So inside here you can still see the tip of the arrow. And the arrow is actually attached to the end of this here. So it's under tension, as you see. See? It's held in place by two pins, by two wooden pins. I can pull those out just with some pliers. And also, this is really nice because I can load in the arrows just like you would load a Winchester rifle, like so. Very simple. And it fits 4 arrows. I didn't want to make it too big. Also, as you see, it is not attached by screws or something. This will simply be attached by rope. And so this is going to be pressed against the bow. And then we're going to wind it with some string. And then it's attached. And you can remove it at any time. There's no changes on the bow. And by the way, this is the little test device that I made myself to figure out the arrow spring method. As you see, it's spring-loaded. And it clamps down on the arrow. That is here represented by a pencil. Very little friction, but total functionality. So now I put it on. And I haven't really tied it to it yet, because it clamps nicely even without. So you could really also shoot this without tying the grip. But of course it's more comfortable. So as you see, I've now wrapped it. And actually this has 2 advantages. First of all, it gives me a much nicer grip, because it's just more flesh on the grip here. And also it of course holds firmly onto the bow without changing the bow at all. It also prevents the bow from coming apart, because now the upper and the lower part are connected. So now we can easily load the 4 arrows into the magazine. As I said, it works really much like loading a Winchester or maybe also a shotgun. Simply like that. This thing with the arrow and the spring really works well. Okay, that's it. 4 arrows, as you see, it's filled to capacity. So if you want to shoot the bow, you simply draw it out just like normal, but you don't do it like this, you do it just like that. And then you hear the clack. That means that the arrow is in place. And you can now put your thumb against the end of this and then simply fire. And then you can do it again. Clack, okay. And then again. Clack. It's so much fun. And of course it's a light bow, but the bolts are also light, and this means that they can get good speed. Okay, do that one more time for you. Okay, aim carefully. And again. And again. I'm underloading it because the 4th shot is actually a little narrow, and sometimes the spring jumps out of this. Could probably add a little bit of wood to take care of this problem. But as you see, you can shoot really fast. Now some of you guys will now ask, but the arrows are so short, so how does the string goes underneath this? Is there some mechanism? Nope, there's simply a little bit of a widening here that allows me to simply get the string underneath the arrows. Sometimes the most simple solution is the best solution. I think the Mongols would have loved it, because even people that didn't have much practice could learn how to shoot fast very, very easily. You can also see that the arrow actually is very close to the bow itself, so the archer's paradox is reduced, also because of course the arrow is fully guided. So this is a very elegant solution. It also means that the bow cannot cant, which otherwise with bows like this can always happen. If you hold them wrong, you can sometimes cant them in a way that accuracy is shot and the bow can even break. The question is, can I still shoot this using the thumb ring? Sure, why not? You go the same way, just like normal, until you hear the famous click. Take some aim, release the index finger, and there you go. Okay. Very simple. So would the Mongols really have used this? Well, actually, I don't think so, because these people were good. They grew up as archers, and I think they wanted the advantage that they could reload just as quickly as possible, and they probably had like 30 arrows or so on, even maybe even more. So this actually from horseback is kind of hard to reload. Also, it makes the bow a little bit more clumsy, not a little bit, a lot more clumsy. But I think beginners would have loved it, and people that only occasionally shot would have loved it too. Also, I think it has purposes for self-defense. So if you have this as a Mongol, you have this in your tent, and then someone tries to come in and steal your things. This is so quick to get ready to shooting. And also, of course, it has this threatening effect that you can shoot, like so, and then immediately have it ready for another shot, immediately. So I think that is one of the advantages of this thing. It's more a self-defense and not so much a war bow now. Would the Mongols have been able to build this? Absolutely. If you can build a bow like this, or theirs even had much better performance than this cheap fiberglass model. If you can make a bow like this, then absolutely you can make a wooden box that stacks up a few of the arrows. And as I said, the book clearly proves that there have been things like this. Actually, not only the Mongols made it, the Koreans made stuff like this too. Just I've never seen one with a magazine. So maybe I'm a first. And I know, there's the Shukonu, but that's a completely different weapon. This is just, it's still a bow, it's just a magazine bow. And what the Chinese made was more like a crossbow for high rate of fire, but for low accuracy. It wasn't important that these things were accurate, because you would just bombard your enemies with these arrows and you would always hit someone. So, the instant Genghis Khan, what do I think about it? I actually love it because it's so beautiful. It uses a very inexpensive bow, but still it's effective. And I love how lightweight it is. It's really light like a feather. Well, I hope you like this, because that's it for today. Thanks and bye-bye. Oh, let's empty the magazine before I say bye-bye.